Okay, so once you have taken your photos for the photograms, remember that you hopefully took enough photos in different compositions, different layouts, and different objects. Next thing we're gonna do is we're going to edit using Snapseed. So go ahead and open Snapseed and open your first photo. Choose, like I said, whichever one you think will work best. I'm gonna choose that one right now. And then the very first thing that you want to do once you've opened your photo is check if you want if you need to crop it. That's the very first thing. Remember, all the photos that you want to edit, the very first thing you check is if it needs to be cropped. So for example, me, I have a lot of blank empty space in the bottom, so I'm just gonna crop that out. Maybe bring this to the edge. So once you have cropped your photo, let me see here at the top as well, go ahead and click the check mark. And then after you've cropped, or if you didn't have to crop, the first thing you were supposed to do is click on the brush tool. What we're going to do is brighten our image. Even if we were using the light box or your computer, you can still brighten your photo a little bit more by using the brush tool and then clicking on the exposure. So when you click on this brush tool, you see you have 4 options. You're going to use the one that says exposure. And then on these arrows here, bring it all the way to +1. Okay. And then you're simply going to drag your finger over your image. And if you click the eyeball icon, once again, it'll show you where you're brushing. You don't need to have that on, but it's up to you. Once you have brushed in everywhere, you'll see the difference. You click the check mark and you see the difference of before and after. So all we did, we brightened our image. This will help a little bit more when we start getting into the inverting the photo. So the next step, so again, we cropped it, then we did the exposure, the brush tool. The next thing we're gonna do is click on the curves tool here at the top. The curves tool, once you click on it, make sure you're not using any of the default options here. Just hide that option. You should see a straight line with 2 dots on each corner. We're simply going to invert these. So grab the one on the left first and bring it all the way to the top, and then bring the one on the right side and bring it all the way to the bottom. And you should be able to see kind of like an X forming between those. Now you have like a line and an X. Then simply click the check mark, and already you can kind of see it just inverted the photo. So even like that, you might, I mean, we're going more for photograms, so even though it might look cool for you, you still want to go to the next step, which is going to be to turn it black and white. There's different ways to do that. You know, you have the black and white filter here that you can use, but sometimes it's better to just kind of do it kind of more naturally instead of using a filter. So to do that, you're gonna click on the tune image and you're gonna go down to the saturation. Okay, so saturation, once again, is the coloring of your photo. So once you're in saturation, you can see at the top it's at 0. You're gonna bring the saturation all the way down to make it into a black and white image. And then once it's a black and white image, here you can scroll down or up to change or adjust all the other settings. For example, right now I'm in brightness. If I wanted to brighten this a little bit more, I can brighten that, and that, you can see, gives it more the effect of the photogram. Because remember, the photogram, the original process is that when you put the objects on top, it blocks out the light, and so it creates it, the objects leave the imprint of a bright white space there or area. And again, you can continue adding or changing like any other thing you want to do, like maybe you want to do more contrast and so on. So really, after this step, after you've converted to black and white, the rest is up to you to see what you want to do. Maybe the highlights you want to bring more or less. Really, you have a lot of freedom to do kind of what you think will look better based on your objects that you have. And once you're done, you're going to click export at the bottom, create a copy with permanent changes, and that's pretty much it. So you can see the before and then after. So you're gonna do at least 3 photos, 3 of your different photos that you took. Once you click export, you can simply move on to the next one by clicking open, and then might be a good idea actually to check first that it's saved in your camera roll. So my photo's there, and then you can go back and do your second one. Okay, and let me show you another quick way. So let me click another one here. Another thing, like if you wanted to do kind of more of an old photo paper, you can follow the same steps. Once again, click on the curves tool, invert the photo, so bring these down, and then if you want to give it more of a old vintage look, when you click on tools, there's a tool here at the bottom that's a noir tool, and you can click on that, and this is more like filters. It's different filters that you can choose that already kind of does the changes for you, so you can look through those and see if you like one. Here you can change things like wash or grain if you want to add more kind of like speckles to your photo to make it look more old, and so on. So either or. Brightness, you can mess around with the brightness here as well. Either or of the tools, it'll give you kind of the same effect. So just play around with other tools that you can do. Even the glamour glow can give you a different effects. You can see these are all presets and filters, but as long as you get kind of 3 different versions of your photos, you should be fine. That's what you will be turning in. And you can see again, these are very similar, but it really just depends. So with these, you can get really nice texture, especially if you had things that were more transparent or translucent, like the flower leaves you can see here, as opposed to if you have things that are not that transparent, like the seashell here. So really play around with your edits, and hopefully you get your 3 best ones. Make sure you are doing 3, and then we'll move on to the next part.